friends, welcome to Manu Law Classes. Today in this video we are going to discuss the important news from the Hindu edition of 24th April 2023. Now before starting with the news, let's focus on today's date, that is 24th April. So this is the day when we celebrate our National Panchayati Raj Day. Okay, National Panchayati Raj Day. So on this day in 1992, the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act it was passed, which gave the constitutional status to the Panchayati Raj, that is rural local self-government. Okay, so 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. So it was passed on 24th April 1992. Okay, so it added a part 9 in the Constitution, and Schedule 11th schedule. Okay, so 11th schedule, it contains 29 functional items which has to be given to the Panchayati Raj to emerge as the body of rural local self-governance. Now let's start with the news. The first is Amritpal held in Punjab shifted to jail in Assam. So pro-Khalistani radical preacher Amritpal Singh, who has been facing detention under National Security Act, he was arrested by Punjab police from Moga district in Punjab. अब उन्हें डिब्रूगढ़ जेल में भेजा गया है असम में under tight security, and he heads the Waris Punjab Day outfit. The next is Eye on polls, Gehlot targets gig workers with welfare law. So gig workers, so the workers who does not come under the ambit of a traditional employer-employee contract, they are called as gig workers. So यहाँ पे आप देखेंगे that Rajasthan government, they are working overtime to deliver the Rajasthan platform-based gig workers registration and welfare bill 2023. Now this bill, it has stringent provisions against errant aggregators, including barring them from operating in the state. Now the next is that this bill, it aims to set up a platform based gig workers welfare board that will function like a mothership for over 3 lakh persons employed with various online service providers in the state of Rajasthan. The second focus will be designing welfare policies and hearing the grievances of the worker who are hired on a piece rate basis. Now the bill, it gives powers to this platform based gig workers welfare board to decide the quantum of cess that every aggregator will have to pay towards this social welfare corpus. So there will be a corpus of rupees 200 crore seed fund for the board to begin this work. Now coming to the editorial, India as the most populous can be more boon than bin. So last week जो है हमने एक article पढ़ा था where we read that India will overtake China to become a world's most populous country by mid 2023. Okay, so if you will see that the report which was of United Nations, it says that India will have a population of 142.86 crore by mid 2023, which is 2.9 million higher than China's population of 142.57 crore. So यहाँ पे इंडिया का जो पॉपुलेशन है that is 142.86 करोड़ और चाइना का जो होगा वो होगा 142.57 करोड़. फाइन, सो दिस इज द थिंग. नाउ यहाँ पे जो पॉपुलेशन की नाउ जो बात हो रही है, ठीक है, सो पॉपुलेशन में दो चीज़ें होती हैं, इज इट अ बर्डन और इज इट अ रिसोर्स. ठीक है, बर्डन है या पॉपुलेशन या रिसोर्स है. सो इफ यू विल सी दैट पॉपुलेशन अगर आप देखेंगे देन इट इज़ अ रिसोर्स एज लॉन्ग एज द कंट्रीज कैरिंग कैपेसिटी इज इंटैक्ट. मतलब कि जो प्रेशर पड़ता है नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज पे वो बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं है. ठीक है, सो कैरिंग कैपेसिटी इज नॉट जस्ट पर कैपिटा अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज, इट इज़ अ डायनामिक कॉन्सेप्ट विच चेंजेस अकॉर्डिंग टू चेंजिंग टेक्नोलॉजी, द एफिशिएंसी ऑफ प्रोडक्शन एंड कंजम्पशन सिस्टम ऑफ अ कंट्री. सो इट सेज दैट जैसे जैसे टेक्नोलॉजी इम्प्रूव होती है, ठीक है, तो हमारा जो रिसोर्स के ऊपर बर्डन है वो भी रेड्यूस होता है. सो दैट द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ ऑप्टिमम पॉपुलेशन which is in relation to carrying capacity does not include only natural resources, it includes natural resources, but along with that it also includes technology, the method of production and consumption system of a country. So if you will see India में जो total fertility rate है, it is already 2 in 2023. So total fertility rate is at the replacement level. Now what is this replacement level? Replacement level मतलब जो आपने concept पढ़ा होगा, हम दो हमारे दो, that is the concept of population stabilization. population stabilization. ठीक है, that is the concept. So now if the total fertility rate, that is the average number of children getting born to by a woman in a reproductive age, so if the total fertility rate is 2, it means the population is reaching at its replacement level. So that is called as population stabilization. So if you will see that India's population is on a path towards stabilization. Now if you will see according to the report, वो कहता है कि up to 2063 the India's population will grow because of very high base. So the peak of India's population size will be around 169.6 crore in 2063. Afterward it will start declining. Now one of the particular characteristic of India's population, if you will see the working age population, which comprises of 15 to 64 years age group, and the dependent population, that is 0 to 14 years and 65 years and above. So working age population and dependent population. So we will see the India का अगर हम केस लें तो इंडिया में जो वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन है, इट इज़ द 68% ऑफ द वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन इन 2023. तो हमारा जो पॉपुलेशन है उसमें 68% जो है वो वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन है, मतलब हमारा जो डिपेंडेंसी रेशियो है वो बहुत कम है. तो दिस is called as demographic dividend. So it is going to exist for next 35 years and India has to convert it into economic dividend. Now if India wants to convert it into economic dividend, so India has to focus on 4 key mechanisms, that is employment, education and skills, health conditions and governance. These are the 4 things where they need to focus to convert demographic dividend into economic dividends. Now if you will see द एजिंग पॉपुलेशन, सो यहाँ पे आप देखेंगे कि जो इंडिया का जो डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड है जो नेक्स्ट 35 ईयर्स तक आने वाला है, इट मस्ट बी कंपेयर्ड विद द पॉपुलेशन डिक्लाइन एंड एजिंग अक्रॉस सम कंट्रीज विच इंक्लूड जापान, चाइना, यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स एंड अदर मेजर इकोनॉमीज. सो यहाँ पे बहुत सारे कंट्रीज हैं, स्पेशली चाइना एंड जापान, यूएस. नाउ दे आर इम्प्लीमेंटिंग द पॉलिसीज टू प्रमोट बर्थ रेट्स इन देयर कंट्री, बट लार्जली दिस हैज रिमेन इनइफेक्टिव. तो यहाँ पे what is the lesson learned, that once fertility trends to decline, it is very difficult to reverse it. So now what is the opportunity for India over here? So India has the potential to become a worldwide market for both production and consumption. अगर हम इंडिया को देखें तो यहाँ पे वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन ज़्यादा है, चाइना, जापान, यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन जो है वो कम है. तो यहाँ से हम क्या चीज़ें देख सकते हैं कि एक तो क्योंकि इंडिया में वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन ज़्यादा है, सो मैनी कंपनीज दे कैन शिफ्ट देयर प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी इन इंडिया. स्पेशली इट हैज़ लोअर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कॉस्ट ड्यू टू चीप वर्कफोर्स विच इज़ एविडेंट इन इंडियाज IT सेक्टर. ओके, द नेक्स्ट इज यहाँ पे जो डिस्कस नहीं हुआ है, माइग्रेशन भी एक इसका आउटकम होता है, दैट इंडियंस माइग्रेटिंग टू डिफरेंट कंट्रीज वेयर देयर इज ए एजिंग पॉपुलेशन. द नेक्स्ट इज working age population. They have the potential to boost per capita GDP by additional 43% by 2061 by creating demand in the market. So that is also one of the important highlight of the India's population. Now the next thing is says that एक चीज है जिस पे हमें ध्यान देनी चाहिए, that a total fertility rate of less than 1.8 may not be economically beneficial for India. तो इसके लिए इंडिया शुड नॉट गो फॉर ड्रास्टिक पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल मेथड्स बिकॉज इट विल रन द रिस्क ऑफ इंड्यूसिंग फोर्स्ड पॉपुलेशन एजिंग and which would result in the nation getting old before getting rich. So first we should reap that economic dividend coming from demographic dividend. After that we can look for controlling the population. The next is a new troika for India's northeast region. So यहाँ पे जो northeast region है which comprises of 8 states. तो न्यू ट्रॉइका मतलब a new troika can emerge between 3 countries for the development of northeast region in India. If you will see the northeast region, तो एक थोड़ा सा लैंडलॉक्ड है. यू हैव चाइना, म्यांमार, बांग्लादेश, ठीक है. देन ओवर हियर यू हैव भूटान. So it is a landlocked country, but it is rich with natural resources. So if you will see the northeast, it is blessed with vast natural resources. The next is its strategic location sharing borders with Nepal, Bhutan, China, Bangladesh and Myanmar is an asset. So if we can create the value chains and manufacturing products, okay, so यहाँ पे क्या हो सकता है कि if we create the value chain मतलब if we can create the connectivity with different regions which are encircling the northeast region, so we can develop this region. So there was the third India-Japan intellectual dialogue which was hosted by ASEAN Conference in Agartala, Tripura. And then here there was a thinking that that Bangladesh, India and Japan should come closer for developing this region. Okay, so if you will see that there are several important projects which lead to connecting this region with the other countries. One is Matarbari Deep Sea Port on the southern coast of Bangladesh. So इसको जापानीज जो है वो हेल्प कर रहे हैं कंस्ट्रक्ट करने में, वो ऑपरेशनल हो जाएगा 2027 में. तो यहाँ पे जो एक लॉन्ग टर्म विजन है दैट फॉर बांग्लादेश एंड नॉर्थ ईस्ट टू बिकम अ हब एंड की इंडस्ट्रियल कॉरिडोर ऑफ दिस रीजन सर्विंग द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ 220 मिलियन, सो दैट विल बी रियलाइज्ड. ओके, उसके बाद हिरोशी सुजुकी हु इज जापान्स एम्बेसडर टू इंडिया, ही हैज एम्फसाइज्ड इंक्रीजिंग कनेक्टिविटी ऑफ रोड्स एंड रेलवेज इज इम्पॉर्टेंट बट इट इज नॉट इनफ without the creation of regional industrial value chain. तो यहाँ पे क्या है कि the second focus is industrialization. ठीक है, so industrialization and connectivity, so which goes both together. यहाँ पे कहने का मतलब क्या है कि सिर्फ हम कनेक्टिविटी दे दें और इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन पे फोकस ना करें तो बात बनती नहीं है. So we should provide connectivity to fuel industrialization in this region to create job opportunities and national and foreign investment, where again Bangladesh will play a very critical role. Now if you will see what are the challenges, so Japan as a single investor in the northeast is unworkable. यहाँ पे Indian companies they should also invest in this region. Then the three governments they should also forge closer linkages of economic cooperation in this region. Then other regions also can join like Nepal, Bhutan and Myanmar. उसके बाद यहाँ पे if you will see BIMSTEC, the full form is Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. इसको भी हम leverage कर सकते हैं for development of Northeast region. Okay. The next is Russia's oil imports to India rises further, trade deficit balloons. So this is the news. तो यहाँ पर अगर आप देखेंगे कि there is a western cap on Russian oil that is $60 per barrel, but India and China they are buying Russian oil above this price. So इसका जो consequence है क्या हुआ है कि अगर हम February 2023 का डेटा देखें, so Russia has surpassed Saudi Arabia to become the second biggest exporter of crude oil to India in financial year 23. टॉप पोजीशन किसका है? इराक का है. बट अगर हम नवंबर 2022 से फरवरी 2023 का अगर हम डेटा पूरा देखें, so Russia took over the top spot while the shares of Saudi Arabia and Iraq in India's oil imports are fast decreasing. तो यहाँ पे अगर आप सिर्फ फरवरी 2023 का डेटा देखें तो Russia is at the second number, but if you will see the 4-month data from November to February, तो यहाँ पे if you will see Russia is at the top, okay, and the Saudi Arabia and Iraq they are at bottom. Now if you will see, India is not only buying oils from Russia, India is also buying like newsprint rolls, mineral chemicals, fertilizers, sunflower, cottonseed oil coming from Russia in financial year 2023. Okay, अब अगर आप देखेंगे कि इंडिया और चाइना का कंट्रीब्यूशन कितना है, so first is that they have not agreed to abide by the price cap. India, it accounts for more than 70% of the seaborne supplies of the Ural grade oil, and China is about 20%. Now, what is the fallout of this? The fallout is that since India is buying crude oil from Russia and the payment is not being made in the dollar, so India's trade deficit is first of all rising with Russia. Okay. If we will see that India's exports of pharma products, okay, then crustaceans, tea, coffee and some other products, they are of relatively less value. So India's trade deficit with Russia has already increased. So now India and Russia they have agreed to address this trade deficit and market access issue in April 18th convention. Okay. So यहाँ पर अगर आप देखेंगे जो दूसरा है that Russia's richest people they have added $152 billion to their wealth over the past year because of high prices for natural resources and rebounding from the huge loss of fortunes they experienced just after the war. The next is the EU's new crypto legislation that is called as MiCA. So EU ने EU Parliament which is located in Strasbourg in France, So now they have adopted a regulation called as Markets in Crypto Assets (MiCA). Now it will come into force after formal approval by member states. So it has become the world's first set of comprehensive rules to regulate the cryptocurrency market. So if you will see that the MiCA legislation, it will apply to crypto assets. अब देखो ये crypto assets को define कैसे करता है. A digital representation of a value or a right that uses cryptography for security and is in the form of a coin or token or any other digital medium which can be transferred and stored electronically using distributed ledger technology or similar technology. It means that it is not only talking about cryptocurrencies but also it is talking about newer ones like stable coins. ठीक है, stable coins वो cryptocurrencies होती है जो पैक्ड होती हैं किसी और एसेट से. उसके बाद अगर आप देखें that what it will not regulate, so it will not regulate digital assets that would qualify as transferable securities and functions like shares. Okay, then it will also exclude non-fungible tokens and digital currencies issued by the central banks. Okay, it will also not regulate that. So any digital currency issued by European Central Bank or the member nations of EU, they will not be regulated under these new rules. If you will see the new rules, what it says, so it imposes compliance on the issuers of crypto assets, so who are defined as legal person who offers to public any type of crypto assets. तो जो issuers होते हैं उनको comply करना पड़ेगा इस rule से. Then this rule is also applicable to the service providers of crypto assets. For example, if somebody is trading on a platform like Coinbase, custody and administration of crypto assets on behalf of any third party, or the crypto asset exchange, okay, execution of orders, placing of crypto assets, providing transfer services, all these are covered under this new rules. Then if you will see that CASPs, who are the crypto service providers, they will be regulated depending on the type of crypto assets. So यहाँ पे जो minimum requirement है, that is the base regime, it requires that every CASP, they have to be incorporated as a legal entity in EU, and then they can be allowed to conduct their services across the 27 countries, and they will be supervised by regulators like European Banking Authority and European Securities and Market Authority. Then the persons who are providing services related to stable coins, they have to furnish key information in the form of white paper mentioning the details of the crypto product and the main participants in the company, the terms of offer to the public, the type of blockchain verification mechanism they use, the rights attached to crypto assets in question, the key risk involved for the investors, and a summary to help potential purchasers. Now if you will see that what are the reactions, so if you will see that leaders of some of the biggest cryptocurrency firms, they have taken exception, कुछ reservations उनका है, but the broader view is that it is better to have a regulatory framework than having no framework. Now coming to India, that how is crypto regulated in India? So India, it is yet to have a comprehensive regulatory framework for crypto assets. अब अगर हम बात करें यूनियन बजट 2022 का, तो यहाँ पे क्रिप्टो करेंसी ट्रेडिंग पे 30% टैक्स लगा था ऑन इनकम फ्रॉम द ट्रांसफर ऑफ एनी virtual digital asset. That is the first. What was the second? The government placed all transactions involving virtual digital asset under the purview of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. The next is how can a juvenile be tried as an adult in the court? So there is section 15 of the Juvenile Justice Act 2015 under which a juvenile justice board is established. Now the National Commission for Protection of Children or Child Rights, they have issued guidelines that how to conduct a preliminary assessment by the Juvenile Justice Board to ascertain that the child between 16 to 18 years, should he be tried as a child or should he be tried as a adult. Okay, तो जो ये पूरा एक्ट है JJ एक्ट, जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट 2015, तो इसमें अगर आप देखेंगे जो जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड है, इट इज एस्टेब्लिश्ड अंडर सेक्शन 15. नाउ दिस एक्ट says that there are three types of offenses: petty offenses, serious offenses and heinous offenses. Now in the case of heinous offense which have been committed by a child and who has completed or is above the age of 16 years, तो यहाँ पे जो जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड है उसका एक ड्यूटी है टू कंडक्ट प्रिलिमिनरी असेसमेंट रिगार्डिंग हिज मेंटल एंड फिजिकल कैपेसिटी टू कमिट सच ऑफेंस. मतलब इसमें ये देखना होता है कि जो ये ऑफेंस हुआ है वो एज अ एडल्ट उसने ऑफेंस किया है या एज अ चाइल्ड उसने किया है। ओके, उसके बाद एक बार ये असर्टन हो जाए तो सेक्शन 18(3) के अंदर प्रिलिमिनरी असेसमेंट करने के बाद जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड को एक ऑर्डर पास करना चाहिए दैट देयर इज अ नीड फॉर अ ट्रायल ऑफ सैड चाइल्ड एज एन एडल्ट। अगर उसने एज अ एडल्ट क्राइम किया है तो अगर एज अ वो जजमेंट वो अगर पास हो गया ऑर्डर तो ये जो पूरा केस चलेगा इट विल हैपन इन चिल्ड्रंस कोर्ट हु हैज जुरिसडिक्शन इन दैट एरिया। फाइन। उसके बाद what will be the further responsibilities of the board? So they will be responsible for preliminary assessment and provide the child, the child's family and their counsel a copy of the order. Then if there is no practicing professional with a degree in child psychology or child psychiatry, then board will take the assistant of psychologist or expert who have the experience of working with children in difficult times. The next is the child will be provided with a legal aid counsel through district legal services authority who will be present during the time of ascertaining. Fine. Now the next is that during the preliminary assessment, the board and the expert they shall analyze and take into consideration the social investigation report. ये एक रिपोर्ट होता है जिसको प्रोबेशन ऑफिसर या चाइल्ड वेलफेयर ऑफिसर या कोई सोशल वर्कर और प्रिपेयर करता है, ठीक है, while interacting with the child or child's family. Fine. Now, under Section 109 of the JJ Act 2015, the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights has the obligation to monitor the proper implementation of the provisions of this act. So that's why NCPCR has come out with the detailed guidelines for the Juvenile Justice Board. The next is Lockbit Ransomware. So reports आई हैं कि एक नया ransomware है which is targeting now Mac devices, especially Apple computers and old Mac versions also. So it was first reported in September 2019 and इसमें जो इस वायरस को दूसरा नाम क्या है, ABCD वायरस बुलाते हैं क्योंकि इसका फाइल एक्सटेंशन उस नाम से है। उसके बाद इसको क्रिप्टो वायरस भी कहते हैं क्योंकि इट रिक्वेस्ट फॉर पेमेंट इन क्रिप्टो करेंसी टू डिक्रिप्ट द फाइल ऑन विक्टिम्स डिवाइस। ओके, then the next is they have launched multiple attacks across Europe and Asia, and the gang which is running this ransomware, they are developing tools to target Macintosh operation system and to increase the scope of attacks to bring in more financial gains. अब इसकी characteristic क्या है? That it is a self-spreading malware not requiring additional instructions once it has successfully infiltrated a single device. तो किसी भी डिवाइस को अगर ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल इंटरनेट को एक्सेस है तो एक बार अगर उसने एक्सेस कर लिया तो उसे इंस्ट्रक्शन की ज़रूरत नहीं है, वो फैलता जाएगा। उसके बाद जो ग्रुप है जो इसके पीछे है उसका नाम है लॉकबिट गैंग, इसीलिए हम उसको क्या बुलाते हैं, लॉकबिट रैंसमवेयर, एंड इट ऑपरेट्स ऑन रैंसम एज अ सर्विस मॉडल एंड कम्स फ्रॉम अ लाइन ऑफ एक्सटॉर्शन साइबर अटैक्स, मीन्स जो साइबर अटैक्स पैसे के लिए किए जाते हैं। नाउ if you will see that do we have any foolproof ways? So there are no foolproof ways of protecting against ransomware attacks, but organizations and individuals they can take certain steps to increase resilience against such cyber threats. The next is Sudan crisis, which is going on between Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and Hamdan Dagalo, who is the head of the Rapid Support Force in Sudan for the control of the capital. So it has caused severe hardship to Indian citizens who are stranded. So now India, it has deployed two Indian Air Force jets, carrier C-130J, which is in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, and INS Sumeda in Port Sudan. So जैसे ही वहाँ पे सिचुएशन नॉर्मल होगा तो इंडियंस को वहाँ से इवैक्यूएट करना चालू हो जाएगा। The next is de-dollarization. So what is de-dollarization? So de-dollarization, it refers to the deposing of US dollar from reserve currency status. Okay, that is called as de-dollarization. अब ये de-dollarization का बात क्यों हो रहा है? तो it is because US dollar it has depreciated against most of the major currency and it has declined by more than 10% in the past 6 months against the euro. Second is the price of gold, it is increasing from past 6 months, though the Federal Reserve has raised the interest rate recently. Russia and China, they are buying huge amount of gold, and that is one of the reasons that why the gold prices are increasing. Now, if we see what is the option, ठीक है, तो अगर हम दो कंट्री को यहाँ पे कंपेयर करें, चाइना और यूएसए, ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे क्या है कि दोनों का इकोनॉमिक सिस्टम जो है वो काफ़ी वेरी करता है। अगर आप देखें चाइना के बारे में, सो if you will see that Chinese yuan is cited as a, you can say, alternative to dollar due to an uptick in Chinese lending and China's dominant export sector. There are countries who are borrowing from China and then they are beholden to China. अगर हम श्रीलंका का अगर देखें तो 20% जो इसका पूरा डेप्ट है वो चाइनीज ओन्ड है. फाइन, बट नाउ सी व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम विद चाइना. चाइना जो है इट डज नॉट अलाउ युआन टू फ्लोट फ्रीली अगेंस्ट अदर करेंसी. देन इट इज engaged in exchange rate manipulation by devaluing its currency. Then China has controlled capital flows and does not allow its citizens and firms to leave the country freely. उसके बाद अगर आप देखेंगे that China's export dominance stems from a significant labor capital resulting from a boom in population growth in late 20th century. Now since China is aging, so this boom is also going to fade away. So China does not currently pose a strong challenge to US dollars dominance. If you will compare it with US, so the United States, it enjoys unparalleled investor confidence because it is seen as a proponent of open society and democracy. मतलब अगर आप देखेंगे यूएस डॉलर में तो इतने रेगुलेशंस नहीं है जैसे कि जो ओपन मार्केट सिस्टम फॉलो होता है, वेयर अट्रैक्टिव हेवन फॉर इन्वेस्टर्स अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड हु प्रेफर लिक्विडिटी, मिनिमल कैपिटल कंट्रोल एंड मिनिमल पॉलिटिकल इन्फ्लुएंस ऑन मार्केट्स. सो दैट्स व्हाई the author is saying कि डॉलर को इतने जल्दी रिप्लेस कर देना by Chinese yuan is not so easy. So friends, that's all for today. We will meet tomorrow again with the daily Hindu analysis. Till then, have a nice time. Take care. Thank you.